Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of Atomic Ambition, the podcast, where we review self-help books. We talk about things that we have learned from those books and how they have helped improve our lives. And this week we have Becoming Bulletproof by Avi Pomporis. Life Lessons from a Secret Service Agent. If you haven't read this book, Avi Pomporis, she has had a very, very interesting life as a Secret Service agent helping to protect top American politicians, including presidents and presidents' wives. So she has a very interesting background story, and she also has a lot of really useful tips and a lot of insight and knowledge into lots of different areas of becoming a better person. I think the whole book, Becoming Bulletproof, I think the idea of that is basically becoming a better, stronger version of yourself, which in essence is a great idea. We should all be striving to become better versions of ourselves, and there's some really good sort of tips in there. So if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. Now, I like to take one thing that these books, they are full of so many different ideas and so many different things. It's impossible to review the entire book in such a sort of short podcast. So what I'm doing is I'm taking one thing that has really resonated with me and I'm sharing that with you. And in this case, from this book, the thing that resonated with me most was being vulnerable, or rather not being afraid to show your vulnerabilities. Now, throughout my life and throughout my career, let's say my professional career, there have been many times when I've made mistakes. When I was very, very young, I probably tried to hide my mistakes and pass the blame onto somebody else. But I think as I sort of reached, early 20s, early mid 20s, I suppose I started to realize that you have to man up a little bit, but actually owning your mistakes, really taking ownership of the mistake and the consequences and dealing with that. It's a part of what makes you human in a sense. It's also a part of what helps you to grow as an individual. Now, like I said, throughout my life, like you, like many people, we make mistakes. It may be a mistake in your personal life, it may be a mistake in your professional life. It's better, from my perspective, not to try and hide your mistake. Don't try and, brush it under the carpet. For me, I just try and be as open and honest as I can, rather than waiting for somebody else to point out the mistake that I know is there. I try and be the first person to point it out now. I don't wait for other people to say, you made a mistake. I go, I mean, it does happen. Sometimes I don't know I've made a mistake. So you can wait for other people to, if you need to. But if you know there's a mistake there, own your mistake, basically, is what she says it. Own your mistake. Share your vulnerability. And it's not just mistakes. Something you don't know. Something you're afraid of. In your professional life, there's a section in the book all about showing vulnerability and owning that vulnerability. Personally, I believe that showing the human side of you to your work colleagues makes you a better person and also makes them appreciate you even more, because you have shown a part of yourself that most of us, or most people, keep hidden away and don't share. So that's the one thing that I have taken away, I would like you to take away from this book, which is vulnerability. Vulnerability is not something to be afraid of. Don't hide from it. I know a lot of us, vulnerability, yeah, and it can be a horrible thing to actually be vulnerable, but it's also a great thing. It's I can't think of the superlatives to help me express what it actually feels like. But once you've done it, you will know what I mean. It's not something to be afraid of, not something to be shied away from. Vulnerability is human, and we are human after all. So make yourself a little bit more bulletproof by reading the book first of all, but also embracing your own vulnerability, because we all have it. Yeah, don't hide it, embrace it. See you next week.